It's not the purpose of this show to provide tax, legal, and/or financial advice, and you should always seek counsel from your CPA, attorney, or advisors, as these topics relate to your specific needs. This information is being presented in a very general way and is for illustrative purposes only.
Into the Jupiter Joe Money Show. I'm your host, Kathy Green, and again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. I'm in the studios with Joe Thomas. He's the president and CEO of Retirement Network Advisors. Let me tell you a little bit about Joe before we get the show started. We've been doing a radio show for over 10 years. Joe lives and runs his business right here in Palm Beach County. He's been here for almost 30 years. He's the author of the book, The Retirement Know-It-All. We're going to tell you a little bit about more later how you can get your copy. Joe's been in finance and banking and insurance industries right here in South Florida. Of course, he is licensed in South Florida. Very important. He's also a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable. Did you know that less than 1% of financial advisors receive this prestigious award? Do you know what that means in layman's terms? He's really good at what he does. That's why we're here, and we're going to welcome Joe back to the studios. Joe, let's do what we do best. Today, our topic is Social Security.
Right.
I mean, this is one of the largest entitlement programs by the federal government, and it's going to affect everyone. You and I have done live seminars. We've done so many radio shows on it. And when we were talking off mic, you're like, let's talk Social Security again. There are so many things that people need to know. And the most important is they're taxed on it, and there are ways to save that money and not be taxed on it.
Well, you're going to ultimately be taxed anyway on Social Security taxes.
Okay.
It's just when you take it is the key.
Okay.
The longer you can delay it, the less taxes you pay. Here's the problem, Kathy. A lot of people, they turn 62, and the first thing they say is, I need to take my Social Security. Wrong. If you don't need it, don't take it. It's that simple.
All right. So if you don't need your Social Security at 62 years old, you want to delay taking it. And why is that?
Right. The biggest benefit is the Social Security Department is going to give you about 8% per year increase. That's why you want to wait until your full retirement attainment, which is whatever age you were that you're born. They go by your date of birth. So, for example, if you're born in 1960, you're going to age is 67, your max full retirement account value. So you're going to wait. And every year that you wait from 62 up to 67 or even 70, it's going to go up 8% a year.
Well, that's a substantial amount of money.
It is. It is. But here's the big problem with Social Security. You don't want to take it if you're not going to use it to live on or use the money to a higher standard and do something with it. That's the key.
Okay, so many people have to take their Social Security because they need the money to live on. Other people do not. So by deferring taking it, you're deferring taxes and you're increasing the money you receive by 8%.
Correct.
So when you finally do get it, you're not taxed more just because you defer taking it.
No. You're going to be taxed depending on how much other income you have. Here's the key. People think, I'm going to take Social Security, and then you're going to have your RMDs, your required minimum distributions from your IRAs, and then you're going to have a pension, and then you might have some other income from your investments. All that adds up. Anything you get a 1099 on at the end of the year when the bank sends it to you and the investment company
dreaded 1099.
The 1099. That 1099 is added up. And if you exceed a certain level of income, whether you file single or married, depending on your income level, they're going to charge you more taxes.
Okay, so this is one of the main reasons Joe and I hold seminars and we talk to the listeners. And people are always interested. We used to do a call-in show, and these are some of the really basic questions that we get. So by deferring it, you're deferring their taxes.
Right.
And when you had said if you don't need to use it, then you hold on to it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. People think at a certain age you've got to automatically turn Social Security on. I would tell you the first thing you need to do is look at what you need as income. I have a recent couple here in Jupiter we're working with right now, and the first thing I said to them is they were retiring. I said, that's great. I said, but figure out all your expenses, what you need, to pay your bills. What's your monthly nut? Is it $5,000 a month? Is it $4,000 a month? Add all those up, and then we figure out and we calculate how much you're going to have from your IRAs, your 401ks, your pensions, and then if you need Social Security, we turn it on. I personally would prefer that you turn your Social Security on last because of that big tax burden. Here's the numbers. This is from Social Security. 40% of Americans out there are paying taxes on Social Security income, and they don't even know it. Most of them.
They don't even realize that they're
No.
paying taxes on it.
They come to me and they say, well, why am I being taxed on this? Now, we don't prepare taxes. We have accountants that do that. But the point is, taxes are more important a lot of times than what you're getting as returns or what you're getting as income. It's the net number. What's the net, you know?
Okay, and that was one of the motivating factors for you to write your book. And it's a little tongue-in-cheek, The Retirement Know-It-All, because
Right.
everyone thinks they know it all, or they have a friend who knows it all, or a son-in-law who knows it all.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your book.
Right. The book was written a little tongue-in-cheek. I don't know everything, clearly. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the business and the financial service industry for over 30 years. But here's the deal. I don't know everything, and neither does everybody else. But unfortunately, in this world of technology with the internet and Google, you find that a lot of people say, well, I know about that. I'm going to create my own will. I'm going to do my own trust. Or my son told me how to do this. Well, where'd your son find out? Well, he Googled it. And I mean, this is the...
A little knowledge can be a dangerous thing.
Right. So what this book does is it gives you an overview of all the things you should do or not do in retirement. The mistakes is what cost you all the money. Okay, it's not the gains. Everybody wants to go through life with rose-colored glasses and saying, I made 12% last year. Well, what did you keep? After taxes, inflation, and fees. That's what you've got to look at. And that's what this book helps people with.
All right, and it brings to the forefront of their mind what they should be thinking about. It's a great read, and if you're interested in receiving a free copy of Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All, and a free copy of the 10 biggest mistakes you should never make with your money, and you could do that by phoning Joe at 561-743-0999. Joe, you're doing contactless interviews on the phone where people can reach out to you.
Right.
And it's important. Everyone's financial situation is unique, and you're a really good listener. Let people know a little bit what they can expect if they have questions about their Social Security and want to receive a copy of the book.
I'll give you an example. People will call and they usually start with a question. Joe, I heard your show and I have a question about this.
Okay.
My daughter, my son, or I'm retiring and I want to take Social Security. What do I do? And then we'll help them. Now, we clearly don't have all the answers. We're going to just help you, steer you in the right direction. We give you a copy of the book. We're going to give you a free 15-minute consultation over the phone to answer any questions you may have. We can do the Zoom if you want. We can go online, do one of those, contactless.
But you do have an office off PGA Boulevard.
We're in the Wells Fargo building on PGA Boulevard. We'll be glad to sit down with you. We pay monthly a fee to do that with clients, so we'll be glad to do that with you. And the whole thing is it's answering questions that you might have about your specific situation.
All right,
we don't
so
generalize.
We're talking today about Social Security, but Joe knows so many different ways to help you keep more of your money in your pocket, and who doesn't want to do that? So continuing on, as you're listening to the Jupiter Joe Money Show, Kathy Green in the studios with the president and CEO, Joe Thomas. Social Security, again, the largest entitlement program, one of them, coming off the federal government, and people are surprised that they're taxed on it. There's a couple different things that we were discussing earlier. As I mentioned to you, my older brother was going to start taking his Social Security, and he really wasn't prepared.
Right.
He didn't realize that the money he made last year affected his benefits this year, and his age was involved.
Right.
And there's just a lot of different things for you to think about. He had money in a 401k. Where should he put it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. People, it's not easy.
He was in sales. He's not an expert.
Right.
And that's why I think one of our biggest issues that we enlighten our listeners about is get a second opinion and talk to somebody that has the knowledge.
Speak to an expert. And look, I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years in South Florida. And it's about giving the right advice at the right time. And if we don't have the answer to what you're looking for, we're going to steer you in the right direction and try and give you the right answers, okay? Here's the big thing with Social Security. This is the question I get all the time. Is it going to be there for me? Let's say you're 50 years of age and you're going to retire at 62 or 65 and you're saying, hey, is this Social Security going to be there for me? It will be there for you. Now, what form it's going to be in, they keep moving the goalpost. And what I mean...
They certainly do.
Right. As soon as you think you got it down pat, hey, I'm retiring at, my full retirement age.
62, 65, now 67.
Right. And let me tell you what's happening. So the RMD, the required minimum distribution on your IRAs, has been changed now because of the Secure Act. They made it instead of 70 and a half, that's the maximum time you can leave your money in an IRA before you have to mandatorily take it out. Now they've changed it to 72. Well, why all of a sudden they changed it to 72?
Moving those goalposts.
So I personally believe that Social Security is going to be in a different form. What they're going to do with it is going to extend it longer. They're going to make that 70 or 72 or 75 down the road. And that's how they adjust things.
I think that's going to really tick people off.
Well, it is. Now, it doesn't.
But people are in better health. They're staying, they're able to do more longer. But it's tricky business. Once you start taking your Social Security benefits, you can only work so much.
Right. Well, that's the key. If you're taking Social Security benefits and you're working and you have an income, you're just going to be taxed on that money. So what I say to do is, if you don't need the money, don't take it.
Okay.
It sounds so simple, but it is. A lot of the things that make sense are simple. I learned that a long time ago. Keep it simple. And if you do,
well, that's
works.
one of the reasons you're so easy to talk to, Joe, and you've been so successful. And we're letting you, our listeners, know as you're tuned into the Jupiter Joe Money Show. Don't forget you can receive a free copy of Joe's book, Retirement Know-It-All, and a free copy of the 10 biggest mistakes you should never make with your money. We had discussed this before. 10 biggest money mistakes you should make. And again, these are pretty simple, but people, you're working, you're getting by, you're dealing with your family, you're going through life. This has been a particularly challenging time in our history. So one of the things that you do is you send out this 10 biggest money mistakes.
Yeah, I start with talking about the mistakes you shouldn't make first. Here's what happens if you go to a regular financial guy.
Okay.
Most of the brokers out there, most of the advisors out there, now I'm generalizing, they're not all the same, okay? Clearly I'm different, okay? What they're going to talk to you about is returns. The first thing they talk, we've done so well with this. This is our 10-year history, which doesn't mean anything. And they're going to talk to you about how they're going to make you so much money, which is wonderful. However, it's the bottom line, and it's the little mistakes that you can make throughout life, like changing your beneficiary. Now, that's the number one biggest mistake people don't make. Changing your beneficiary. It sounds so simple, but people forget to do these little things that can make a big difference in your life. So what I tell people, again, going back to Social Security, it's not only Social Security you have to think about, it's how much shortfall you're going to have between what you receive from income from your pensions, your 401k, and your IRAs, and collecting Social Security. If it's not enough, you don't have enough money to live on.
All right.
Whether you're 50.
And I think that is a huge fear that people have. I know my grandmother grew up during the Great Depression and World War II. And that was her biggest thing. I don't want to be a burden on you. We want to be sure that we have enough money.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons that
when my wife's grandmother died, we cleaned out her house, and they had tinfoil, probably from the 50s.
Oh, yeah. And
rolls of tinfoil.
My grandmother saved tinfoil also.
And it was not because
the fact that we're even calling it tinfoil
whatever
is
it was
dating
called
us.
back then. It was, this isn't hoarding. This was just smart.
It was, being frugal.
Yeah,
and
I've had clients tell me I can, make a dime squeal. And, unfortunately, we're in a life now where things are expensive, very expensive. But back then, you had to watch what you did with your money.
Yeah. It is true, and I do think people have that thought process. Okay, so a big mistake that people make is they don't consolidate their IRAs and their 401ks.
Yeah, we talked about that before. I would always, if you have, let's say you have something you can't control or you can't keep track of. A lot of clients will have 3 or 4 IRAs, a couple of pension plans from other places.
Because gone are the days where you work the same job from when you live till you die.
Very different.
People, it's just a fact of modern life.
Right. One thing I want to talk about with Social Security, and this is the big thing. So you've got the people who need it right away. They need to live off it.
Okay,
you have those people. Then you have the people who take it and they don't really need it, or they're taking it and they have to take it, and they're saying, what do I do with this money? And they stick it in their checking account at 0% interest, and they say, well, I've got $40,000 sitting there, and that was my Social Security income this year, and they're taxed on it all again if they earn any interest. So here's what I tell people: if you're going to take Social Security and you have to take it. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're in your 70s and you've been getting the Social Security, and you're getting $3,000 or $2,000 a month, whatever it is. You can use that money to a higher level. Now, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
That means take the money and don't just stick it in your checking account. Use it to do something better with it. Either A, give it away, donate it to a charity. You say, why am I donating? I'm going to donate. Well, you get a write-off on that. Taxes, reduce your taxes. Or you could buy life insurance with it. You say, well, why would I buy life insurance? Well, now you're turning a taxable investment or income into a tax-free benefit that you can benefit your family members with and leave a large lump sum of money tax-free. Okay, so use it to a higher standard, or take that money that you receive from Social Security and invest it, reinvest it in something that's earning better interest, hopefully tax deferred, like an annuity. Annuity will grow your money tax deferred. You can put it in an index annuity, or you can go put it in the stock market, buy stock with it, but do something that's going to increase the value and not just be taxed on the money.
So that really makes sense. If you're taking Social Security and you really don't need it, then perhaps you should think about doing something with that money.
Right. Now, here's the other side of the coin. If you're collecting Social Security and you're in your 70s already, you're taxed on that money. So for years, I give people, Joe, how do I reduce the taxes?
Everyone wants to know how to reduce taxes.
Right. Now, and the first thing you say, is it possible? It is possible.
It is possible.
It is tough. It is tough. But it's based on the 1099s. The less 1099s you have and the less income you have, the less taxes you'll have on your Social Security income. I've made a living in the last 20 years down here in South Florida talking about Social Security and how to reduce taxes. And this is what I specialize in. Now, can everybody do it? No, but some people can do it. Now, how do you do it? Okay, you can take your money, okay, and basically not be taxed on it if you're investing it in something that's non-taxable, something that you don't get a 1099 on.
Oh, okay.
So like an annuity, for example.
Okay.
You don't get a 1099 on, there's no income. Or we're going to go back to the old Roth IRA that you always hear me talking about. IRA income is 100% taxable. Your RMD is 100% taxable. If you convert it to a Roth IRA, there's no tax. Therefore, you don't have any tax on your Social Security.
Well, you and I have been discussing for many years the beauty of the Roth IRA, but we're talking about their cop-outs. Well, I don't want to be...
I'm too old.
Well, I'm too old, but also there's a fee for me to switch it.
Right. You mean taxes.
Yes.
And I always tell people, look, whether you pay the tax, your wife's going to pay the tax, your husband's going to pay the tax.
There's no avoiding it.
Your son's going to pay the tax.
But in the long run, that Roth IRA is a premium vehicle.
Tremendous. Now, what do they might do away with that. Who knows? I don't think they're going to, because the government likes collecting the taxes on it. But we talked about this in our last show. Now's the time to convert from an IRA to a Roth IRA for many reasons, but I think the biggest reason is taxes. It's the lowest tax rate there's been in the history right now of America. And
yes.
I think rates are going to go up. So be honest with you, now's a discount. It's a coupon. It's a 20% off coupon right now. You're getting in the mail to convert. Do it now.
Now's the time to go ahead and motivate and do that.
Correct.
A lot of other cop-outs that people say, well, I'm too old, or I don't have enough money to worry about it, or I'm not worried about it. So
you should be.
You should be worried about it. You
Yeah.
worked hard for your money.
Right.
You want to keep it.
Well, we were just having a conversation off mic before the show started. We were talking about how our son and daughter are about the same age.
Yes.
And we were talking about how the kids, people put a burden on their family and say, my son or my daughter is going to take care of me. Oh, my God. Now, listen, make sure you can take care of yourself. That's what this life's about. Now, if you can't help yourself, well, then there's people to do that for you. But don't put the burden on your son or your daughter with everything.
And now's the time to glean that knowledge and go ahead and get your ducks in a row.
Right.
If you are retired and you think you're paying too many taxes, you're going to want to give Joe Thomas a phone call. It's easy to do. Pick up the phone, 561-743-0999. Joe Thomas, they can go online and find you too.
Yeah, JupiterJoe.com. Funny name, but great results.
It is. And you do business all over Palm Beach and Martin counties.
All over Florida.
Yeah.
We're licensed for Florida. And that's another thing. We've talked about this in other shows.
Oh,
I'm
please get
licensed
the
in
right
Florida.
advisor.
Right. And I'm licensed in Florida. I live in Florida. I work in Florida. There are a lot of guys that come down here 6 months out of the year doing business, and they're a Floridian. Well, baloney. Okay, I'm a resident licensee, means I live here, I work here, and I'm licensed as a resident licensee in Florida.
It is. We know that South Florida is the scam capital of the world, so you want to keep your money safe. You want to get good advice. You're looking to defer your taxes. You don't want your kids taking care of you. And hey, we know that money is worth less today. Why is that?
Well, it's inflation, really. I mean, think about it. Look, years ago, you could buy a brand new car for $5,000. I remember my dad buying a Chevy Impala, and it was like $5,000. I think it was $4,900. Yeah, a Chevy Impala. I think it was like $4,900.
Like driving a couch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the thing was huge. It was huge. It really got 3 miles to the gallon. But it was only $4,900. Now you go in, there's not a car less than $30,000 you can buy.
I remember my parents buying a house in DeQuesta for like $33,000, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
And that was a lot of money.
I think their mortgage was like $180 a month.
Yeah. My mom, my mother-in-law came to me. This is a funny story. And they're out in Long Island, New York. And she came to me and she said, Joe, we're thinking about paying off the mortgage. Tom retired now. I'm retired now from the school system. They're with the school system 30 years. And they said,
they worked hard for their money.
Oh, they worked their butts off, right? And they said, what do you think? Should we pay the mortgage off? I said, well, how much do you owe? $1,700. I said, yeah, I think it's time you pay the mortgage off. But people, sometimes people need a push, a little kick in the butt to do the right thing. And asking is what is number one. I tell people all the time, no question is a stupid question. If you don't know the answer to it, ask the question.
It is, and it's something it could be a little uncomfortable to think about because you're dealing with so many things. But if you're going to reach out, we had talked about before, so you have someone making investments in the stock market for you. What you offer is not the same thing. No. You're offering a book so people can wrap their minds around what they need to think about and plan for the future.
Well, there's two sides to my business. There's the sales side, of course. Look, a long time ago, a client said to me, do you ask people for money? I said, of course. She says, well, then you're a salesman. And basically, we all come down to salesmen if you're in the financial business. However, I've switched my gears in the last 20 years being in South Florida. I learned a long time ago, 20 years ago, that if you give people advice, and they consult with you and they really seek advice from you, I'm an advisor, okay? So there's a distinction there. You can sell people all day long product. That's not what we do. We're going to help you find the answers to the questions you seek. It's that simple.
And as we've said on many other shows, everyone's situation is so unique.
Everybody's different.
Joe Thomas is a really good listener. He's got a lot of experience and advice that you can take for your benefit. People say, oh, it's too complicated.
Yeah,
well, that's why you're reaching out, though, and you said simplicity is best. Yeah. But you're easy to talk to, Joe, because you put it in layman's terms for me. That. After all, I'm not a financial expert. I'm a radio person. Yeah. So we all do many, many things. You play different roles in your life, but most important is to glean that knowledge. And Joe Thomas is president and CEO of the Retirement Network Services. You're going to want to reach out. Get that phone call in, 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. Joe wrote a book. That's right. People talk about it. Joe did it. It's called The Retirement Know-It-All. You can obtain your free copy. And in that also is one of the most concise lists that I've ever read about the 10 biggest money mistakes you should never make. Kathy Green in the studios with Joe Thomas, and we're discussing Social Security. And Joe, people look forward to collecting it. Yeah. Is it going to be there? Of course it's going to be there.
Well, the other question I get all the time, not to interrupt you, but this is the other question I get. What if my husband dies or what if my wife dies? Do I collect their Social Security? My husband worked all these years and his Social Security, I'm making up a number, is $2,000 a month. And the wife's only getting $500. And if he dies, do I get that? Yes, generally speaking, you're going to get the higher level. Now, there's different conditions, and I don't work for the Social Security Administration. Okay. I'm a financial guy. There's a big difference. But yes, generally speaking, you're going to get the higher level of Social Security income, okay?
Okay, and we're going to do a shout out to the ladies out there because we have done many seminars that specialize in Social Security for women.
Right.
Notoriously, you're going to not work maybe for a couple of years while you're having children.
Or you get divorced.
So that's why Joe's knowledge of Social Security or how to be taxed less on it is very, very important. And then again, preparing when to take it. Right. Joe, let's go back over. You said take that Social Security money if you don't need it and you are collecting it now, put it to a higher and better use.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We're talking about making things simple and keeping it simple. And that's what we're all about. That's what I'm about, okay? So a long time ago, a client had said to me, explain, we were talking about something very complex, and it's a topic that is tough, right? Any topic that you don't understand is tough. And the person said to me, Joe, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And that's really what I have to do. I have to break it down in layman's terms. Now, some guys are out there that are talking about different things and they want to let you know all their knowledge. I'm not like that. I want to explain to you in layman's terms so you understand how this is going to benefit you. You can't just know the bottom line. You got to know a little bit of background. I talk in my book about how millionaires make decisions. Well, when they make a large purchase, they don't just go out and buy it the same day. They'll actually dwell on it for a day or two. And I'm generalizing, but the reason they do that is they really think about, do I need this? before they buy a car. Do you know the average millionaire has a car that's 20 years old or 10 years old? Okay, and
Well,
why?
we have that in common. No.
Yeah, we have that. Exactly. But the whole thing is, you've got to think about things before you make. I hear people all the time say, "Well," I say, "Why'd you buy this product?" Or a REIT, for example, a real estate investment trust. They are one of the most complex products, financial
And it
products,
scares people away.
bar none. They
Yes.
are very difficult to understand. I'm in the business. I know what they are. I know how they work. The problem with REITs is people don't know when they get their money back. I'm getting 8% interest. That's wonderful.
But when?
How are you getting your money back? And how much? Do you know people are out there right now? Here's what happens. People will go to an advisor and they'll talk to them about safety. And the first thing they say, well, we're going to put you in bonds. And what do? They put them in 30, 40, 50-year bonds, and the person's 70 and 80 years of age. They're never going to see that principal back. Their kids will never see that principal back, but they're getting 6% interest. I mean, things just have to.
So you want to listen carefully and
You
be
do.
careful.
And you got to know the bottom
and
line.
a lot of people poo-poo life insurance, but as you said, it's a very viable option.
Absolutely. It's part of everybody's portfolio that has substantial money. Anybody with
Wealth.
wealth, we're talking about wealth. People that have a lot of wealth buy life insurance, they buy annuities, they buy the things that everybody says are no good because they can't afford to buy them. And that's really the bottom line. But today we're talking about Social Security, and we're talking about when you should take it, how you're taxed on it, and basically, should I take it? Okay, and will it be there for me? And I believe that's what we can help you with. If you're a pre-retiree or you're already retired, give us a call. Give me an opportunity to earn your business. Let me show you what I know. Let me show you how I can help you. And it's free of charge. We're going to give you a free 15-minute consultation, no obligation. Give me a call at 561-743-0999, or you can go to my website and get some information on me, do a little research, jupiterjoe.com. You can Google Jupiter Joe Radio Show, and information will come up. That's all you got to put in the computer, and it'll come up. You'll Google me.
You'll Google them. Go ahead and use that Google. This is Kathy Green, and we're winding up here. You've been listening to the Jupiter Joe Money Show. Joe, thank you. It's such a pleasure. And today's topic, Social Security, so important. If you're interested, how to plan, when to collect, Joe's knowledge of the rules and regs, and he has all this knowledge and also the free book, The Retirement Know-It-All. That's right. Get that valued second opinion. Go ahead and motivate. And perhaps you're saying, oh, no, I'm too old. I don't have enough money. No, you really do. You need to reach out and call Joe Thomas. Again, that number, 561-743-0999. Joe Thomas, a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Kathy.
We'd
Great
like
to be on
thank
the radio
our
and
listeners for tuning
show with
in.
you.
That's it for the Jupiter Joe Money Show. Until next time, please be kind to one another and take it easy.